Welcome to Midlife Magic, a unique channel for unique women. I'd like to begin with a short exercise in grounding. There are lots of different ways to ground. However, I have a couple favorites. One is to imagine that my legs are tree roots into the ground, anchoring down, down, down into the earth, and really, really grounding while my body stays supple and swaying like a tree. The second is to take a favorite crystal and hold it between your hands, go to heart center, and just really, really focus on the energy of the crystal, its grounding energy from your crown to your root, and just imagine being as solid as that crystal. I'm Colleen. I'm a midlife coach, a crystal addict, and a lover of all things woo-woo. Today's topic is clutter clearing and space clearing with intention. We've all heard of clutter clearing. We've all done clutter clearing. We all know about clutter clearing. However, clutter clearing and space clearing with intention makes a very, very big difference. It opens up all sorts of possibilities, and it's limitless as to what it can bring into your life. Clutter is anything that is in your surroundings, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that you either don't love or don't use. So take a moment and think about the clutter in your world today. Clutter also affects the flow of energy. Energy, everything is energy. We are energy, the table is energy, the computer is energy, the cup is energy. Everything is energy. And when the energy is stagnant or not flowing, then you'll start to see that there'll be blockages in your life and in your world. We are in a really interesting time in our world, and things are changing so dramatically. The energy is changing around us. Our homes, the energy is much more pronounced, and it's important that we take time to ensure that any of the energy around us is only for our best good and our highest good. Let's check my notes here. So your home is your sanctuary. It's your sacred space. It's your retreat. It's where you go to recharge, renew, rejuvenate. So your home is where you really, really want to focus on what's working and what isn't. When you're setting out to do clutter clearing, it's very important that you also set an intention. What do you want? What do you desire? What do you want your future? What do you want your home to be like? What do you want your home to give you? The same goes for your workplace if you work outside the home. However, your home that's where you go at the end of everything. That's your cocoon. When it's time to start to do your clutter clearing, I'd invite you to do what's called or referred to as an inner journey. So what you would do is just take a few moments. It doesn't have to be hard or complicated, just a few moments, and you would sit back, relax, kind of explore, and then return. So what you're doing is you're evaluating your space. You're evaluating what's around you and how it makes you feel. Does it make you feel good? Does it give you good energy, or is it dragging you down? There's many ways to make clutter clearing fit into your life. If you've watched any of my episodes, I always refer to no rules, only tools. We don't want to make this complicated or impossible to accomplish or frustrating or one more thing to put on your list to overwhelm you. So when you set about your clutter clearing journey and you've got your intention, you know what you want to see happen, then decide how you're going to do it. You might do it in little short sprints, 15 minutes at a time, once a day, once every 2 days. You might do a 4-day intensive. You might do 1 day a week for a month. Totally up to you. What I do recommend is that when you set about to do your clutter clearing, whatever time you've allotted, make sure you spend the first half of that time clearing the clutter and the second half of that time putting things back so that you're feeling accomplished and you don't have a mess at the end. So your room assessment is going to be your next step. So when you walk into the room, does it energize you or do you feel heavy and drugged down? Look at the objects. Do they make you feel happy? Do you love them? Do you use them? If you don't love them and you don't use them, then that's clutter and you don't need that in your world. So you would do your assessment, decide where you're at, and then get started. And all you need to do to get started is yourself, some bags or boxes, and the time. So you're going to have your bags or your boxes, and you're going to have them for throwaway, giveaway, recycle, keep. And for those that you're just not sure about yet and can't quite figure out what you want to do with, those will go in a box that's kind of a maybe box. That maybe box is going to get taped, put a date on it, and store it. If you don't ever think about those items, you don't ever need them, you don't ever want them, they're probably clutter. So in a year from now or 6 months, pull out that box and give it another go and see what else you can get rid of. Clutter clearing, or what is clutter? So we have physical clutter. That could be magazines, dying plants, old bills, clothing, extra set of sheets. We have emotional clutter, negative thoughts, unforgiven feelings, anything that brings up emotion that's holding you back. We have mental clutter. That could be all the emails sitting in your inbox that need to be deleted or filed or unsubscribed to. In our world today, everything is so electronic and it really weighs heavy on our mind. It might be all the thousands of pictures on your phone, anything that's cluttering up your mind mentally. Take a look at it. Going to use it? Do you need it? Have you paid it? Can you get rid of it? What can you do to get rid of some of that excess clutter? Spiritual clutter is an interesting one. And most often we don't even think we have it. But it really can come to light. Depending on programs you've done or things people have told you or things you've read or Googled or YouTubed, you might have a whole bunch of stuff sitting in there that's affecting your spirituality. It could be ideals of other people's thoughts. It could be rituals. It could be programs. It could be courses. It could be dogmas that you've adopted. Take a look at those. And again, do you love it? Do you use it? And if not, let's get rid of it. So some examples of clutter when I first started my clutter clearing is I've been collecting pandas, not real pandas, pandas, for probably as long as I've been collecting crystals. And that's a long time. And I first discovered clutter clearing, not from my mentor, who I adore, but from another program. And it was, if it's not useful, if it's taking up space and you have to dust it and clean it, it's clutter. Well, I fought with myself for probably 3 years. I love my pandas. I love the joy they bring me. I love looking at them. And I don't mind dusting them because I love them. So what do I do with them? And I fought with myself forever. And then my mentor, Denise Lynn, just said, if you love it or use it, it's not clutter. Perfect. I love my panda bears. They're no longer clutter. Now I can just enjoy them. Another physical clutter that I had was that my daughters were competitive dancers for many years and collected a crazy amount of trophies. When they grew up and I became an empty nester and they left home, I asked them, do you want to take your trophies? No. They each took a couple that meant something special to them, and I was left with the rest. I was so emotionally attached to that time in our life that I found it almost would make me physically ill to think about getting rid of them. And then again, my mentor, Denise, suggested that it was evidence clutter. And when I looked at it that way, it wasn't so much about my daughters anymore. It was about me and what we had accomplished, not what they had accomplished, but it was about me. So she suggested I photograph the trophies. So I took a picture of the big trophy wall. And in time, I would come to a point where I would be able to dispose of them. So what I found worked for me is I took all of the trophies off the trophy wall, put them in some semblance of some order, which I don't remember now. And then I had almost like a little ceremony. I said goodbye to that part of my life and let it go with very, very fond memories. I still physically couldn't dispose of those trophies. So I got my husband to do that part. But it was like a light went off. It made a really big difference in the relationship that I had with my adult children. I was no longer hanging on to that part of my life where I was dance mom and they were my daughters. But now we were both stepping forward into their new life and my new role in their lives. Other things for clutter clearing. Email is a big one for me. I don't know, it may or may not be for everyone, but email is a big one for me. And if I have more than 25 emails in my inbox at any one time, then I start to get a little antsy. I have to deal with them. So I have a practice each morning for 1 hour. I clutter clear my emails. I unsubscribe to what I don't want to get anymore. And I make sure that anything electronic is kept to a minimum. After that 1 hour is up, I'm done for the day. So crystals are a great help with clutter clearing. When you are doing your clutter clearing, one of the places to start that I always like to suggest is your front entrance. there's so much activity. Well, there was before COVID, but there's so much activity at your front door, whether it's deliveries or people coming and going, good moods, bad moods, you name it. The front door is where it all happens. So I always have a black tourmaline above the door, and I have another one that sits right by the door. And the other thing that other crystal that I have is an amethyst geode, and that sits at the front door because the amethyst just gives everybody really good energy, and it lets the energy flow through the front door. For your nightstand, if that's what you're going to declutter, selenite is also very, very nice for the nightstand, and as is rose quartz, the stone of unconditional love. Your bathroom. I have crystals that line the rim of my bathtub. I have rose quartz again, and lapis lazuli for the flow, water flow, and it just makes it all nice and soft. The energy stays soft. So that's your clutter clearing. And once you're done your clutter clearing, depending on how far you want to take it, you could do it room by room. You could do it category by category. You could do subject by subject, whichever works for you. Once you're done your clutter clearing, it's always really a good idea to space clear. Now, what the difference between clutter clearing and space clearing is, clutter clearing is you are actually doing or dealing with something to move it. Space clearing is the flow of energy, your space. All of your space around you has energy. And energy in some situations can become stagnant, or it can become heavy. You think of, you walk into a room after somebody's had an argument and you can almost cut the air, that kind of stuff. So the energy in your home, whether maybe it's a new home, maybe it's a home under construction, renovation, people coming and going. Maybe there's been an illness in the house, or a death, or divorce, or empty nest. The energy really changed then. Anything that's kind of affecting the energy. So much like you spring clean or you clutter clear, space clearing clears the energy. So if you feel that the energy is really dense, then you're going to want to use something really quite quick and quite loud. Suggested for that would be sage smudging, drumming, gongs, anything that bells, big heavy bells, clapping your hands very loudly, anything that will break up that stagnant energy. If you want to bring more lightness and lift the energy, use something a little softer, singing bowls, a lighter bell. You can also smudge with a feather a little bit lighter. So anytime there's a big change, or two good times to do it are winter solstice or the spring, just to kind of bring the energy back to where it needs to be, because we know where your intention goes, energy flows. So it's a good idea to try and clear the energy in your home. So there's 4 steps to clearing your energy. It's preparation, purification, invocation, and then the preservation. So the preparation, you want to make sure the home itself is relatively clean. If you can, open the windows, let the fresh air in, vacuum, get the dust bunnies out of the corner, then you're ready to begin. The purification process, it varies. My way is, or my preferred method is, I start at the front door and then I make my way around the house clockwise, spiraling up and then back down, and then down to the basement, and then back up to the main floor. I end each of my space clearing moments or rooms with a mudra, which is hand movements, which helps to seal the space. And the space is, I seal it with a figure 8. So the tools to cleanse a room, you can use candles, which represent fire, smudge, sage, and feathers, fire, drums, bells, singing bowls. Salt is really, really good for cleansing. I wouldn't put it on your floor or in your carpet or whatever, but just a small bowl. If you've got small children or pets, put it up on a shelf in each corner of the room for a few days. Crystals are amazing. Again, if you can, put them around the room. If not, put them up on a shelf. Make it work for you. Make it fit into your life. That's what's important. Flowers and plants are very purifying. Essential oils, you can diffuse them or put them in spaces so that the smell helps to clear the space. Crystals and crystal grids, of course, crystal grids. I love crystal grids. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'm very excited for you and your future wins. I look forward to seeing you next week on Midlife Magic for more tools, tips, exercises, and celebrations. Take care and crystal love. See you next week.